The controller slipped from my sweat-slicked hands, clattering against the hardwood floor of our cramped Brooklyn apartment like a gunshot in the dead of night. Seth's laughter echoed from the kitchen, oblivious to the storm brewing in my chest, but it was Keith, his best friend since high school, who froze in the doorway, his eyes locking onto the screen where my avatar lay bleeding out in some pixelated warzone, abandoned by teammates who ditched me mid-game for the third time that week. "Jamie," he said, voice low and cracked like old leather. "You okay? Looks like you're fighting ghosts in there." I slammed the laptop shut, heat flooding my face, but it was too late. The vulnerability I'd armored with late-night raids and energy drinks had cracked wide open under his gaze. Keith didn't move, just stood there in his worn leather jacket, snowflakes melting on his shoulders from the December chill outside, and for the first time in years, the silence between us felt less like a wall and more like an invitation to fall. That night, as Seth snored from the couch after one too many beers, Keith lingered. He didn't say much at first, just handed me a mug of black coffee, strong as the winters we'd survived in this unforgiving city. "You don't have to pretend with me," he murmured, settling onto the edge of my bed, the mattress dipping under his weight like it knew something I didn't. And just like that, the loneliness I'd buried under layers of code and camaraderie online began to unearth itself, thread by fragile thread. The glow from my monitor was the only light in the room, casting long shadows that danced like forgotten memories across the peeling wallpaper. Brooklyn in winter felt like a cage, gray skies pressing down on the brownstones, the distant hum of the subway a constant reminder that life pulsed elsewhere, just out of reach. I'd been grinding levels in Call of Duty for hours, headset clamped over my ears, chasing that fleeting high of virtual victories to drown out the ache. Seth, my older brother by 3 years, was out in the living room yelling at some sports recap on TV, his voice booming through the thin walls like he owned the world. He always did, in a way, easy charm, broad shoulders from pickup basketball games, the kind of guy who collected friends like trading cards. Me? I was the quiet one, the tag-along kid who'd followed him from our folks' split level in Queens to this shoebox apartment we shared to save on rent. At 22, I was supposed to be figuring it all out. College dropout turned freelance coder, piecing together apps for startups that never quite took off. But mostly I hid. From the dates that fizzled into awkward silences, from the crushes on guys who'd pat my shoulder and call me bro, like it erased the spark in my chest, from the truth that Seth, with his straight arrow life and endless parade of girlfriends, would never understand. The door creaked open without warning, and there was Keith, Seth's shadow, his ride or die since they bonded over detention hall pranks back in sophomore year. Keith Malone, tall, with that effortless Irish lilt from his Boston roots bleeding into his New York drawl. Hair the color of burnt caramel falling just shy of his collar. He was 25, a mechanic at a garage in Williamsburg, hands perpetually stained with grease but eyes that saw too much. I'd always noticed him in stolen glances. The way he'd lean against our kitchen counter during game nights, laughing at Seth's dumb jokes, or how he'd catch my eye across the room and hold it a beat too long, like he was reading code I hadn't written yet. "Yo, Jamie. Seth said you were holed up in here battling aliens or whatever," Keith said, stepping inside without invitation, his boots leaving wet tracks on the rug. He carried 2 six-packs dangling from one hand, the other shoving his beanie into his pocket. But his smile faltered when he saw me. Curled up in my desk chair, shoulders hunched, the chat log on screen flashing with taunts from faceless players. "Quitter. Noob. Go cry to mommy." I yanked off my headset, the sudden silence deafening. "It's nothing. Just lag." It was everything. The isolation that had seeped into my bones since Dad bailed 5 years back. Mom's cancer diagnosis 2 years after that. Seth stepping up as the man of the house while I faded into the background. Gaming was my escape, my armor, but tonight it felt like a mirror. Keith set the beers down on my cluttered desk, amid half-empty Red Bull cans and crumpled chip bags. He didn't sit, just crossed his arms, jacket creaking softly. "Bullshit. You look like you just lost a war." His voice was gentle, not probing, but it hit like a gut punch. I wanted to brush it off, crack a joke about respawning, but the words stuck. Instead, I stared at the floor, tracing the scuff marks from years of pacing. He sighed, then dropped into the beanbag chair I'd scavenged from a stoop sale. Remember that time in high school? Seth dared me to climb the water tower? I chickened out halfway up, legs shaking like a leaf. I glanced up, surprised. He never talked about weakness. Keith was the steady one, the guy who fixed Seth's beat-up Chevy with duct tape and sheer will. Point is, we all got our towers. What's yours tonight? The question hung there, raw and unfiltered. I opened my mouth to deflect, but what came out was the truth, spilling like code gone wrong. I'm tired of being the ghost in my own life, man. Everyone's out there connecting, and I'm just pixels. My voice cracked on the last word, and I hated it. Hated the vulnerability, the way my throat tightened like it might betray me further. Keith leaned forward, elbows on knees, his gaze steady as the East River at dawn. You're not a ghost, Jamie. You're the one who sees the glitches before they crash the whole system. He paused, then added softer. And hell, if gaming's your battlefield, count me in for the next round. No quitting. We cracked open those beers, the fizz cutting through the tension like a reset button. Seth bellowed from the other room about a bad call in the Knicks game, pulling us back to normalcy, but something shifted. Keith didn't leave until the credits rolled on some B-movie Seth had queued up, and as he shrugged into his jacket at the door, he clapped my shoulder, firm, lingering. Night, Code Monkey. Don't fight alone. I lay awake after, staring at the ceiling cracks that mapped out constellations only I could see. Keith's words echoed, a glitch in my defenses. For the first time in years, the loneliness didn't feel like a bottomless pit. It felt like a door, cracked open just enough to let in a sliver of light. The next morning, sunlight sliced through the blinds like accusatory fingers, and Seth was already banging around the kitchen, flipping pancakes with the enthusiasm of a man who'd slept off his hangover. Rise and shine, little bro. Keith bailed early, said something about an early shift. You too good last night? He texted me you were deep in some zombie apocalypse. I mumbled a yeah from under my pillow, heart doing that stupid flip at the mention of his name. Seth didn't notice, too busy drenching his stack in syrup. He was like that, blissfully tuned out to the frequencies I operated on. Growing up, he'd been my shield. The one who punched the bully in 8th grade for calling me a fairy after he caught me staring too long at the swim team captain. Family sticks, he'd said then, wiping blood from his knuckles. But shields have edges, and mine was starting to cut. Work dragged. Tweaking a buggy e-commerce site for a boutique in Soho, lines of JavaScript blurring into Keith's face on my screen. Unbidden. By evening, I was back at my desk, but this time, I fired up a co-op game instead of solo. Hesitant, I shot Keith a text. Up for zombies? No ghosts allowed. His reply buzzed almost instantly, you're on. But if I die first, you owe me pizza. We played until the server lagged out, trash-talking like old pros, his laugh filtering through the mic warm and unforced. It was easy, too easy, falling into rhythm with him, like we'd been queuing up together forever. When Seth crashed our session, hollering about joining the fray, Keith covered seamlessly. Nah, man, this is Jamie's redemption arc. You snooze, you lose. Seth laughed it off, but I caught the undercurrent, the way Keith's protectiveness wrapped around me like a glitch patch. That night, as snow started flurrying past my window, I wondered if towers could be climbed 2 at a time. Weeks blurred into a rhythm I'd forgotten existed. Keith started showing up more. Not just for Seth's poker nights or Nick's watch parties, but with excuses that frayed at the edges. Dropping off tools he'd forgotten last time, or claiming the garage radio was busted and he needed my tech wizardry. Seth ate it up, slapping backs and cracking open brews, blind to the current pulling me under. One Friday, after a brutal code debug that left me cross-eyed, Keith knocked while Seth was out on a date. He held up a greasy paper bag from that halal cart on Bedford. Lamb over rice, extra white sauce, my weakness. Figured you'd be buried in binary. Seth mentioned you skipped lunch. I let him in, the apartment smelling of engine oil and cumin as we sprawled on the couch. Netflix flickered with some indie flick about lost boys in the Midwest, but we talked through it. About his debacle in Boston, gone too soon to a heart attack, My mom's latest scan coming back clean, a miracle wrapped in chemo scars. You're stronger than you think, he said during a quiet scene, his knee brushing mine. Accidental? The spark said no. I pulled back, heart hammering. Strong like Seth, you mean? Bitterness edged my tone. Unbidden. Keith's brow furrowed. Nah. Seth's a bulldozer, charges ahead. Damn the potholes. You're the mapmaker, Jamie. You plot the safe paths. His hand landed on my arm, thumb tracing a vein, and the room tilted. I could smell the snow on him, taste the unspoken in the air. Then Seth's key rattled in the lock, shattering it. Honey, I'm home. Date was a bust. Girl talked nonstop about her cat's yoga class. He barreled in, oblivious, but Keith's hand dropped like it had burned. We ordered pizza anyway. The three of us crammed around the coffee table, Seth dominating the stories while Keith and I traded glances across the pepperoni. Later, as Seth snored in his room, Keith lingered by the door. That map, he whispered. If you ever want a co-pilot, I'm in. He left me with that, a promise hanging like exhaust in the cold air. I didn't sleep. Towers loomed larger now, but for once, I wasn't scared of the climb. I stuck to the edges, nursing a beer. The city sprawl below us, a glittering distraction from the knot in my gut. This, whatever it was with Keith, felt like a glitch in the matrix, too good to last. He'd text me memes at 2 a.m., voice notes of him humming Springsteen in the garage. But in person, with Seth's shadow looming, it was stolen moments. A brush of fingers passing the remote. A shared look during Seth's rants about traffic. Mid-party, Seth cornered me by the cooler. You seem off, bro. Everything cool with the freelance gig. His eyes searched mine, genuine worry creasing his forehead, the big brother radar pinging. Yeah, just tired. Lie again. Tired of hiding. Of the way Keith's laugh lit me up like a server rack. Of the dreams where his hands mapped more than veins. He nodded, clapping my back. Well, loosen up. Keith's been asking about you. Says you're the only one who gets his dumb car jokes. Seth chuckled, wandering off to refill his cup, leaving me reeling. Asking about me? What did that mean? I found Keith later, leaning on the railing, cigarette glowing like a firefly. Escaping the chaos? I asked, joining him, the night air crisp with river salt. He exhaled smoke, offering me a drag. I waved it off, never picked up the habit, unlike him. Nah, just thinking. About paths not taken. His voice was low, the party noise fading behind us. He turned, close enough I could see the flecks of gold in his green eyes. Like, what if we ditched the maps and just drove? My breath caught. Seth isn't here right now. Keith's hand cupped my jaw, thumb grazing my stubble. And then his lips were on mine, soft, tentative, tasting of tobacco and possibility. The world narrowed to that kiss, Brooklyn's skyline blurring into irrelevance. We broke apart at the sound of laughter drifting up, hearts pounding in sync. Jamie, he breathed, forehead to mine. This isn't a glitch, it's the main quest. But quests have bosses, and ours was waiting in the wings. Summer hit like a heatwave apology, asphalt shimmering under the relentless sun, air conditioners wheezing in unison across the borough. Seth's promotion meant longer hours, leaving the apartment echoing with my solitude. But now laced with Keith's presence, slipping in like contraband. We'd steal afternoons in Washington Commons, sprawled on the grass with iced coffees, debating everything from indie bands to the ethics of cheat codes. Life's too short for fair fights, he'd say, lacing his fingers through mine under the picnic blanket, hidden from joggers and dog walkers. Those moments built a bridge over my chasm, fragile but fervent. Keith opened up about his own ghosts, the ex who'd bailed when his died, leaving him to shoulder the funeral costs alone. The coming-out letter he'd written to his ma but never sent, folded in a drawer back in Boston. I'm done hiding, he'd whisper against my temple during movie marathons on my bed. Seth out cold in the next room. With you, I don't have to. I believed him. God, I did. In the glow of street lamps during late-night walks along the promenade, hand in hand until headlights approached, then casual bros again. We'd talk dreams. Me launching an app for queer gamers, a safe space beyond the trolls. Him opening a custom bike shop, chrome and freedom. It was romantic, yeah, but humanistic too. Two guys piecing together wholes from their broken parts. American dream repackaged in falafel wrappers and ferry rides. But bridges have tolls. One muggy July evening, Seth came home early, tie loosened, face thunderous. Fired up a client lunch. Guy's a homophobe, spent the whole time griping about woke agendas ruining sports. He slammed a six-pack on the counter, popping one with unnecessary force. Keith was due any minute for what I'd billed as a guy's night. But really, it was our cover for after. I nodded sympathetically, stirring pasta sauce to mask my nerves. That sucks. You tell him off. Seth snorted, dropping onto the stool. Nah, played nice. But it got me thinking, world's going sideways, man. Remember Uncle Ray? Kicked out his nephew for being gay last Thanksgiving. Family's supposed to stick, right? But lines gotta be drawn. My stomach twisted, spoon clattering into the pot. Lines like what? He shrugged, evasive. You know, keep it in the family or whatever. Anyway, where's Keith? Dude's been around a lot lately. You two bonding over your nerd shit. Before I could answer, the door buzzed. Keith breezed in, all easy smiles and takeout bags. Wings from the spot on Nostrand. Heard there was a pity party. I brought reinforcements. He hugged Seth, then me. A quick squeeze that lingered in code only we read. Dinner was strained. Seth dominating with work gripes. Keith deflecting with garage tales. But under the table, Keith's foot nudged mine. A secret Morse. After, as Seth dozed to ESPN, Keith pulled me into the hallway. Your brother's wound tight. Everything good. Yeah? I lied, kissing him fierce against the wall. His hands in my hair like anchors. We broke apart breathless, foreheads touching. Just, be careful. His eyes darkened. For you? Always. The careful cracked that weekend. Seth planned a road trip, upstate to the Catskills. Bro time to unplug. Keith tagged along, his truck loaded with coolers and tents, Seth shotgun blasting classic rock. I rode in back, wind whipping my hair, stealing glances at Keith's profile in the rearview. Strong jaw, that half smile when a guitar solo hit. We hiked Devil's Path at dawn. Trails slick with dew, Seth leading like a drill sergeant. Come on, Jamie. Don't be a city softy. By midday we crested a ridge, views of endless green rolling to the horizon. America's wild heart, unfiltered. Lunch by a stream. Sandwiches and stories, Seth recounting our childhood forts in Flushing Meadows. Keith listened, then shared his own. Fishing with off Cape Cod. Lessons in knots and patience. Ties that hold, he said, eyes on me. Even in storms. Seth missed it, too busy skipping stones. But later, as we pitched tents by dusk, he pulled me aside while Keith gathered wood. You and Keith. It's cool he's family. But don't let him drag you into his mess. Heard from a mutual he's got baggage, that ex-drama. I bristled. What, like you're perfect? He held up hands. Whoa, defensive much, just looking out. But his tone carried an edge, brotherly concern laced with something territorial. Night fell cold, fire crackling as we passed a flask. Stories turned deep. Seth admitting the promotion stress masked his fear of turning into dad. The absentee. Keith confessed the letter to his ma, finally mailed last month. I'm gay, and I'm okay. Cheers all around, even Seth, who raised his cup. To owning your shit. Emboldened, I waited till Seth snored in his sleeping bag, then slipped out to Keith's tent. Own this? I whispered, crawling in, our bodies fitting like puzzle edges under the nylon sky. No rush, just kisses that tasted of whiskey and woods, hands exploring with the reverence of discovery. It was emotional, raw, tears pricking when he murmured my name like a prayer. But dawn brought reckoning. Seth emerged early, bleary-eyed, and caught us disentangling by the fire pit. Innocent, but the angle wrong. Keith's arm around my waist, my head on his shoulder. What the? Time froze. Seth's face cycled shock to confusion to fury. Jamie? Keith? Tell me this is some prank. Keith stood, hands up. Seth, listen. No. Seth's voice cracked, fist clenched. My best friend? My brother? This is fucked. He stormed off, pack slung over shoulder, hiking back to the trailhead alone. We followed in silence, the drive home a tomb. Seth rode shotgun again, staring out, radio off. Keith gripped the wheel white-knuckled. I huddled in back, betrayal's first bloom twisting in my gut. Not Seth's anger, but the fracture it promised. Back in Brooklyn, Seth vanished into his room, door locked. Keith tried. Let me talk to him. But Seth's shout through the wood. Get out! Both of you! Keith left, tires squealing into the night. I pounded on Seth's door till my knuckles bled. He's your brother, came the muffled reply. And I'm supposed to what, just nod? Hours later he emerged, eyes red. How long? Months. Truth stripped bare. He sank onto the couch, head in hands. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew this. You'd draw lines. Seth flinched. Shit. Uncle Ray's poison stuck, I guess. But you're my blood. Pause. Heavy. Keith's a good guy. Just blindsided. We talked till dawn. Ugly, honest. Forgiveness? Not yet. But a crack like my door that first night. Keith texted. Give him time. I'm here. Time crawled. Seth worked late. Came home civil but distant. High fives instead of hugs. Silence as thick as fog. Keith and I met in secret. Coffee shops in Bushwick, parks at odd hours. Passion deepened, laced with pain. Every touch a defiance. Every goodbye a wound. Then betrayal struck, sharp as a server crash. Seth's phone buzzed during a rare family dinner. Takeout Chinese, tentative peace. He glanced, face paling. What the hell? It was a screenshot. Me and Keith at the stream, timestamped from the hike. Anonymous, but the angle screamed setup. Someone from the party, or worse, Seth's own digging. Who sent this? I demanded, ice in veins. Doesn't matter. Seth's eyes hardened, old lines redrawn. You lied, Jamie. And Keith. He knew I'd find out, didn't he? Played me. No. But he was gone, coat grabbed, door slamming. I called Keith, panic rising. Seth knows. Someone sent pics. Silence, then. I might know who. The words hung, a virus in the line. Fall painted Brooklyn in fire. Leaves scorching red against the slate. Air crisp with the promise of change. But change came barbed. Seth moved out 2 days after the photobomb. Crashing at a coworker's in Park Slope. Texts curt. Need space. Don't call. The apartment echoed emptier. My code lines blurring with unshed tears. Keith and I clung tighter. Nights tangled in his tiny walk-up above the garage. Engine hums lulling us to sleep. We'll fix this. He'd vow, fingers tracing my spine like wiring diagrams. Family bends, doesn't break. But bends have limits. I traced the photo source to Seth's circle. A nosy intern from his agency, jealous of Keith's inner circle status, who'd tailed us on the hike for gossip fodder. Keith confronted him at a bar. Words exchanged low and lethal. The guy slunk off, tail between legs, but the damage rooted deep. Seth returned one rainy Tuesday, soaked and somber, duffel in hand. Can't afford solo rent, he muttered, avoiding my eyes. Truce by necessity, not heart. We coexisted. Nods in the hall, shared groceries, but conversations skirted the fault line. Keith's visits halted. Seth's jaw would clench at his name, like swallowing glass. Isolation crept back, insidious. My app prototype stalled, rejections piling like autumn leaves. Niche too narrow. Market saturated. Gaming lost its pull. Online squads felt hollow without real stakes. Keith noticed, pulling me to Coney Island one blustery afternoon. Boardwalk empty save for gulls. We rode the cyclone, screams ripping free, then shared cotton candy on the sand, pink sugar sticking to our lips. You're fading again, he said, brushing strands from my face. Wind whipped the pier's ghosts around us. Faded signs for mermaid shows, echoes of summer laughter. I leaned into him, ocean roar drowning doubt. Just scared. Seth's all I have left of us, of normal. Keith's arm tightened. Normal's overrated. This, he gestured between us. This is real. Human. He kissed me there, salt-tanged and fierce. Waves crashing approval. But fear festers. Seth's distance morphed to barbs. Heard Keith's shops hurting. Bills piling. Careful, Jamie. Some guys take what they can get. Poison subtle from Uncle Ray's well. I confronted him over breakfast. Burnt toast and black coffee. What's your deal? Afraid I'll turn you gay. Seth's fork clattered. It's not that. It's him using you to spite me. We were brothers first. Me and Keith. You think he didn't know how I'd take it? Using me? Rage boiled. You think this is a game? He stood, chair scraping. Everything's a game to you, screens, codes. Real life's messier. Door slam, gone for the day. I texted Keith, venting, and he showed up that night with falafel and a plan. Let's tell him straight, dinner, all cards down. No more hiding. Heart pounding, I agreed. We set it for Friday, neutral ground, that Italian joint on Atlantic, red checkered tables and candlelight to soften blows. The meal started civil. Seth in a button-up, Keith's flannel crisp-ironed, me fidgeting with the menu. Appetizers thawed ice, work anecdotes, Nick's woes. Then mains arrived, steam rising like unspoken words. Keith cleared his throat. Seth, man. About the hike. Seth's fork paused midair. Save it. No. Keith's voice steady. I love your brother. Not to spite you, to live. Been half alive too long. Love. The word landed like a grenade. Shrapnel in my chest. Joy and terror. Seth's face drained, eyes flicking to me. You. What? I nodded, throat dry. It's real, Seth. Scary real. Silence stretched, sauce cooling. Then Seth laughed, hollow, bitter. Love, right? Like the kind that blew up my friendship. He tossed his napkin. You two deserve each other. Liars in the dark. He left cash on the table, walked out into the drizzle. Keith reached for my hand, but I pulled back. The grenades echo deafening. Did you mean it? I whispered. Every syllable. But doubt wormed in. Had he timed it for the bomb's drop? Days blurred to gray. Seth slept on the couch, civil as frostbite. Keith called daily, but I dodged, app deadlines a flimsy shield. One night, scrolling X in the witching hour, a post caught my eye. Keith tagged in a throwback from Seth's birthday last year. Arms slung around each other. Captions brothers for life. Comments below. Where's the love now? Snide. Anonymous. Paranoia bloomed. Was this revenge? Seth's photo leak. Now this public dig? I drove to the garage at dawn. Rain sheeting the windshield. Heart a glitch. Keith was under a hood. Wrench in hand. Grease-streaked and surprised. Jamie? What's up? I thrust my phone at him. This. And the dinner, why drop love like that? To gut him? His face crumpled. Wrench clattering. Jamie, no. Truth. Voice breaking. Or we're done. He pulled me into the bay, door rattling shut. I meant it. But yeah, timing sucked. Wanted to force his hand. Make him face us. Pause, raw. Selfish. I'm sorry. Betrayal's knife twisted. Not full pierce, but nick enough to bleed. You played him. Us. Keith's eyes welled. I played scared. Thought if I said it big, it'd stick. He cupped my face. Thumbs swiping tears I hadn't felt fall. Don't quit on me. Please. I left without answering. Rain washing the city clean but not me. Back home. Seth was packing. Duffel zipped. Keys jingling. Going to Mom's for a bit. Clear head. Keith, sorry. I said hollow. He paused, zipper stalling. So am I. For the lines. But trust's cracked, Jamie. Fix your half. He hugged me brief, bone-crushing, then gone. Alone, the apartment suffocated. I dove into code. App morphing from game hub to something deeper. Forums for hidden hearts. Anonymous vents for the lonely. Keith's texts piled. Miss you. Fight for this. I read, didn't reply. Climax brewed in November chill. Thanksgiving looming like a guillotine. Mom called from her assisted living in Jersey. Voice frail but fierce. Boys, family's not blood. It's choice. Seth agreed to host. Tentative flag. Keith showed. Uninvited. Pie in hand. Eyes pleading. Seth stiffened at the door, but let him in. Table set modest. Turkey from the bodega. Sides from cans. Awkward grace. Then food as bridge. Mom's video call crackled in, her smile a bomb. Look at you three. Handsome as ever. Laughter, forced but thawing. Post-pie, Seth pulled Keith aside in the kitchen. I eavesdropped, heart in throat. You hurt him, you're dead. Keith's reply low. I'd die first. Seth emerged, nodding at me. Talked. He's in but slow. Trust rebuilds brick by brick. Relief flooded, but cracks lingered. That night, Keith and I walked the block, leaves crunching underfoot. We almost lost it, I said. He stopped under a street lamp, haloed in gold. Worth the fight. Kiss soft, promise renewed. But winter whispered warnings, storms not all snow. December returned, snow blanketing Brooklyn in hush, strings of lights twinkling like hesitant stars. The apartment warmed with fragile normalcy. Seth and I cooking breakfasts, Keith joining Sundays for football and chili. Banter rebuilding like scaffold code. Trust mended unevenly. Seth ribbing Keith about stealing my little bro. But eyes watchful. Keith treading light. Dates with me in low-key spots. Rooftop bars in Greenpoint. Hands intertwined under tables. My app launched beta. QueerQuest. A haven for stories swapped. Connections forged beyond avatars. Early users trickled in. A teen from Ohio venting first crush. A vet in Philly sharing deployment isolation. Reviews glowed. Finally, a space that sees us. Keith beta tested his feedback gold. Add voice chats. Let laughs bridge the gaps. Success sparked something in me. Purpose beyond hiding. Seth noticed, high-fiving over launch night beers. Proud of you, man. This is big. Keith's arm around my waist later. In the quiet, you're big, but undercurrents swirled. Seth's promotion soured. Boss's joke about diversity hires grading. Echoing home. One night, post-shift, he unloaded. Agencies pushing this rainbow campaign, but half the execs whisper behind backs. Feels fake. I nodded, stirring cocoa. Like us. He winced. Touché. But I'm trying therapy app even. Unpacking raise crap. Progress humanistic. Flawed men learning grace. Keith joined a session virtually. Seth's olive branch. Your turn to spill, Malone. Laughter followed, bonds flexing. Yet betrayal's shadow lengthened. Christmas Eve. Seth hosted Mom. Train from Jersey, her frail frame bundled in scarves. We decked the tree minimal. Tinsel from the dollar store. Ornaments from childhood boxes. Keith arrived with gifts. Leather wallet for Seth. Custom controller grip for me. Necklace for Mom etched bridges. Dinner hummed. Ham glazed honey sweet. Carols low on the radio. Mom pulled me aside post-meal, eyes sharp. That boy's eyes light when you enter, Jamie. Hold tight. I did, stealing kisses in the powder room. Keith's whisper. Best gift. Midnight mass on TV, candles flickering virtual glow. Then Seth's phone chimed, work email, face falling. Campaign axed. Too divisive. Keith clapped his shoulder. Their loss. Start your own. Seth's grin wry. Yeah? With you two as poster boys. We laughed. But seed planted, doubt in Seth's eyes, old lines flickering. New Year's dawned crisp, resolutions whispered. Seth to confront biases head-on. Me to scale the app. Keith to mail that second letter to his ma, inviting her down. We toasted in Times Square via stream. Confetti digital but cheers real. I pushed funding via app ads, but rejection stung anew. Seth offered loans, family rate. But Keith waved off, pride's my grease. Tension simmered. One blizzard night, power out, we huddled by candlelight, board games and ghost stories. Seth spun a tale of haunted garages, Keith countering with Boston banshees. Laughter peaked. then dipped as wind howled. Remember Da's shop? Keith said, sudden, voice thick. Closed after the heart attack. Debts ate it. Swore I'd never let that haunt me. Seth nodded slow. Like Dad's ghost in me. Running instead of staying. Vulnerability bridged. Hands clasped across the coffee table. But ghosts rise. Valentine's loomed. Keith planning surprise. Dinner at this speakeasy in Cobble Hill. Jazz and candlelit corners. I dressed sharp. Button down. Slacks. Heart buoyant. He was late. Text. Traffic hell. Wait. Then nothing. Hour ticked, worry gnawing. I paced the block, snow flurrying, till headlights cut the dark. Keith's truck, but passenger. Seth, faces ashen. Get in, Seth barked, door yanking open. What? Drive. Keith floored it, silence slicing. Finally, at the apartment. Found these. Seth thrust papers, IOUs from Keith's drawer. Signed to a loan shark Seth recognized from agency whispers. High-interest bullshit. He's in deep. Keith deflated. Tried to handle it. Didn't want to drag you. Drag us. I exploded. By lying. Seth's turn. I saw the shark's card weeks back. Meant to tell you, but thought he'd come clean. His eyes pleaded. Brother code. Betrayal double-barreled. Keith's secrets. Seth's silence. You both played me. I choked, storming inside. Keith followed. Jamie, please. Out. Door shut. Lock clicked. Seth lingered outside, voice muffled. We fucked up, but he's trying, for you. I curled on the bed. App notifications mocking. User connected. Share your story? Mine? Shattered trust. Love's code corrupted. Dawn brought calls. Keith's ma actually coming. Thrilled. Irony bit. I met her at Penn Station. Wiry woman with Keith's eyes, hug bone tight. He talks of you non-stop. My Boston boys smitten. Guilt twisted. Over lunch, bagels and locks. She shared stories. Da's laugh? Keith's quiet strength post-loss. He hides hurt like his father, but love's fierce. I nodded, resolve cracking. Back home, Seth waited, coffee brewing. Talked to the shark. Pulled strings, bought time. Keith's meeting a legit lender tomorrow. Why help? Your family. He's growing on me. Grin tentative. Like fungus. Laughter broke. Damn giving. I texted Keith, ma's a gem. Come over? He arrived sheepish. Flowers wilting in melt. Apologies tumbled. Then truth. Debts from Da's estate. Shop as tribute. Feared losing you to failure. We rebuilt that night. Mom mediating via call. Her wisdom a lighthouse. Love's not perfect code. It's debugged daily. Valentine's salvaged. Speakeasy jazz. Dances close. Seth even crashing later for shots. Toasts to fractures mending. But climax circled. Spring's thaw stirring undercurrents. March bloomed tentative. Crocuses pushing through slush. Brooklyn stirring from winter's grip. Keith's shop stabilized. New clients via Seth's agency contacts. A queer-owned food truck needing wraps. Pride stickers gleaming. Gratitude wove tighter. Group brunches at that diner on Court Street. Seth teasing Keith's fancy latte orders. Me sketching app updates on napkins. Queer Quest surged. 10K users. Features rolling. Virtual meetups. Mentor matches. A podcaster featured it. From pixels to people. Jamie Reyes coding connection. Seth clipped the article. Fridge magnet. My bro, the hero. Keith beamed proudest, framing a print for his office. Nights, we'd test builds on his couch. Bugs squashed between kisses. Romantic in mundanity. Hands synced on keyboards and skin. Mom visited proper. Jersey transit to our stoop, her laugh filling rooms long silent. She grilled Keith over tea. Treat him right or I'll haunt you. He promised, earnest, slipping the necklace she'd admired onto her neck. Seth softened fully then, therapy breakthroughs spilling. Ray was wrong. Love's not lines. It's loops. He even downloaded the app. Anonymous profile Big Bro NYC. Venting work woes. Connecting with a mentor who got the straight ally grind. Humanistic threads wove. Flawed men choosing growth, America's grit in group hugs and green shoots. But conflict crests unbidden. April showers brought a deluge, literal and lit. Agency gala. Seth's big pitch, diversity campaign redux, queer quest as case study. You in? He asked, invite extended to all. Keith hesitated, shark scars fresh, but nodded. For Jamie. The night glittered. Midtown ballroom, chandeliers dripping light, suits starched. I wore Keith's borrowed blazer, nerves electric. Seth schmoozed, charm dialed high. Keith stuck close, hand low on my back, anchor. Pitch landed smooth slides of user stories, my app as beacon. Applause thundered. Execs circling Seth like sharks scenting blood. Then, corner booth, champagne fizzing. Uncle Ray, uninvited, face ruddy from scotch, crashing via family ties. Nephew, he slurred, clapping Seth's shoulder too hard. Heard you're peddling this fairy tale. Thought better of you. Seth stiffened. Uncle, not here. Ray's eyes raked us. Keith's arm around me casual defiant. Ah, the culprits. Boyfriend brigade. Snicker drew heads. Keith rose, calm steel. Respect or leave. Ray laughed, venomous. Respect? For this? Ruining family. Finger jabbed my way. Your dad'd roll over. Seth surged up. Dad left. They stayed. Ray sneered. Stayed to corrupt? Chaos erupted. Ray lunging, Seth blocking, Keith shoving back. Security swarmed, execs whispering. Seth's boss pulled him aside. Incident. Review your role. We fled to the alley, rain pelting, tuxes sodden. Seth punched a dumpster, knuckles blooming red. Fucking Ray, poison everywhere. Keith wrapped his jacket around him. Not your fault. I hugged them both, trio huddle against the storm. Ours now. Fallout crashed. Seth suspended pending conduct probe. Ray's connections whispering. Keith's shop got hate mail. Don't support sinners. My app reviews tanked. Trolls swarming. Fake safe space. Betrayals echo. Ray's doing, but Seth's silence post-call to him. Family talk. Stung. You defended him? I accused, voice raw. Tried to de-escalate. Seth deflated. Failed. Keith mediated. We fight together, not each other. Rebuild began gritty, Seth job hunting, leveraging pitch clips. Keith buffing shop windows with pride flags bolder. Me moderating forums, user solidarity surging. We're the storm now. Mom rallied from afar. Care packages of Jersey sweets, letters scrawled bend, don't break. Keith's ma visited two mams bonding over baklava, plotting our futures. Climax peaked May Day, agency hearing, Seth facing the suits alone. We waited outside, Keith's hand in mine, prayers silent. Verdict, probation, but retained. Your passion's asset, if reigned. Relief party at home. Takeout tie toasts to survival. Seth raised his glass. To lines erased. But I caught Keith's glance, shadowed. Phone buzzing ignored. Later in bed. Lender called. Extension denied. Shops closing. Heart plummeted. Why not tell? Didn't want to jinx us. His voice cracked. After Ray. Thought we were winning. Tears hot. We are. Sell? Relocate. He shook head. It's Da's legacy. Can't. Dawn brought decision. Crowdfunding via app. Save the shop. Grease and grace. Users poured in. Stories of Keith's fixes saving commutes. Hearts mended mid-tune-up. Seth designed the page. Agency ties boosting reach. Goal hit in 48 hours. Stranger's kindness, humanistic wave. Keith wept reading thanks. For spaces like yours and his. Summer solstice. Shop reopened grand. Block party. Bikes gleaming. App demo on screens. Seth emceed. Mic in hand. To brothers, blood and chosen. Ray sent apology snail mail terse. But there. Ignored. We danced under strings lights. Keith pulling me close. Our tower, summit. But endings whisper. June unfurled lazy, humidity thick as unspoken vows. Fireflies winking in Prospect Park like coded signals. The shop thrived. Keith's hands busy with chrome dreams. Smiles genuine now. Seth landed freelance gigs, pitching indie brands with fire unquenched. Queer Quest hit 50K. Partnerships blooming. Virtual pride events. Sponsor drops for user meetups. We three wove seamless. Road trip redux to the Cape. Keith's ma hosting clam bakes on the shore. Seth skipped stones with her. Stories swapping like shells. I traced constellations with Keith on the dunes. Salt air kissing skin. Forever? He murmured. Ring of sea glass on my finger. Promise. Not proposal, but weighty. Mom's health held. Visits frequent. Her knitting scarves for my boys. Wisdom dispensed over coffee. Love's the real American dream, messy, but yours. Yet drama lingers, emotional undercurrents pulling. July heatwave. Seth confessed over rooftop beers. Therapy unearthed crap. Jealousy. Post-dad. Feared losing you to Keith. Like I lost everything else. Keith nodded, no grudge. Lost me too, till Jamie. Hug group, sweat slick. Bonds iron. August brought test. App conference in Austin. Me paneling. Seth co-presenting. Keith tagging as support. Texas sun baked. Accents drawling welcome. Panel nailed. Digital bridges for the marginalized. Q&A turned raw. Audience sharing isolation. Our story resonating. After party. Bar buzzing. A fan approached. You saved me. First safe chat after coming out. Tears mutual. But conflict's last gasp. Back in Brooklyn. Anonymous email to Seth's new client. Smeared pics from the gala. Ray's ghost typing. Gig axed. Seth raging. That bastard won't quit. Investigation traced to Ray's IP. Drunk dial to his provider. Slip up. Seth confronted in Jersey, me and Keith backup. Porch showdown. Ray haggard. Thought I was protecting. From what? Love. Seth's voice steel. You're alone now. We choose better. Ray crumpled, apology genuine this time. Therapy referral slipped in envelope. Door closed, not slammed. Healing rippled. Seth visited weekly. Slow thaw. Mom mediated a call. Forgive to free. September side in. Leaves hinting gold. Keith proposed proper under our Brooklyn Bridge subway rumble applause. Ring simple. Silver band etched co-pilot. Marry the glitch? Yes. Breathless. Kiss ceiling. Wedding small. October harvest moon. Backyard of mom's facility. Jersey apples crisp. Guests intimate. Seth best man. Toast heartfelt. From lines to loops. Love wins ugly. Vows exchanged. Keith's eyes locked. You uncovered me, Jamie. Here's forever. Honeymoon road trip. Cross country. Route 66 Echoes. Diners and diners, motels with neon hearts. Stops at queer landmarks. Stonewall Echoes in NYC, but west to San Francisco Castro. Rainbow flags waving welcome. Return to life amplified. App acquired by a tech nonprofit. Me consulting. Keith expanding shop to e-bikes. Seth launching agency focused on inclusive brands. Winter circled back. Anniversary first snow. Apartment now Keith's key permanent. Glowed with us. Tree strung, cocoa steaming. Seth dropped by. Pie in hand. Family tradition. We sat. Stories circling. That first game night. Tower climbs. Betrayals debugged. Laughter laced tears, human, whole. Outside. Snow fell soft. Blanketing scars. Inside. Warmth held. Love not perfect, but persistent. American as apple pie and endless highways. Dramatic in depths. Romantic in rises. Humanistic in holds. And in that quiet, loneliness a distant glitch, uncovered and conquered.